So now let's discuss about the common observing tools used in the amateur astronomy. Well, a number of celestial objects are readily identified by the naked eye. Sometimes with the aid of a star chart, many others are so faint or inconspicuous that technical means are necessary to locate them. So in order to locate the faint stars or the objects that are not commonly visible in the celestial sphere are observed by using different amateur techniques. One is called the star hopping. It is a method often used by amateur astronomers with low-tech equipment such as binoculars or a manually driven telescope. It involves the use of maps or memory to locate non-landmark of stars and hopping between them, often with the aid of a finder scope. Because of its simplicity, star hopping is a very common method for finding objects that are close to naked eye stars. That is, star hopping uses bright stars as a guide to finding fainter objects. A knowledge of the relative position of bright stars and target object is essential. After planning star hop with the aid of a star chart, the observer first locates one of more bright stars in a finder scope. The instrument is then moved by one or more increments to identify angular distances to follow identified patterns of the stars in the sky until the target object is reached. An example of a star hopping would be finding a star Messier 13, a globular cluster in the constellation Hercules. So for that, consider this diagram, and here you can see the constellation Hercules with stars alpha, beta, delta, epsilon, eta, pi, mu, etc. In between this zeta and eta, there is a star called M13, which is called the Messier 13, which is very faint star. So to locate or to observe this faint star M13, first of all, by using a star chart, the observer will locate this constellation, Hercules constellation, by a finder scope. Then he will know the distance of Messier 13 or the position of the Messier 13 in the Hercules constellation, and after either reaching on this eta or zeta stars, he will move his telescope in this direction to locate the Messier 13. So first he will locate or he will observe the constellation with these brighter stars using a finder scope, and then he will move this telescope by small angular distances to reach the target object. And this method, that is star hopping method, is because of its simplicity is a common method for finding objects that are close to naked eye stars or very close to the brightest stars. Another method used by the amateur astronomers is setting circles. This is used on telescopes equipped with a equatorial mount to find astronomical objects in the sky by their equatorial coordinates. Equatorial mount is nothing but This one axis of the rotation is parallel to the Earth's axis of rotation to compensate Earth's rotation. That is, the telescope itself will have an axis of rotation parallel to the Earth's axis of rotation to compensate the Earth's rotation. So, if we are using an equatorial mount telescope to find an object in the celestial sphere, the method of setting circles are used. The setting circles actually consisting of two graduated scales or discs attached to the array and deck, the right ascension and declination axis of an equatorial mount. The right ascension disk is graduated in hours, minutes and seconds, and the declination disk is in degrees, minutes and seconds. The star which is observed by using this setting circle is the globular cluster NGC 6712. So, observing the globular cluster NGC 6712 is by using the setting circles. There are two types of setting circles. One is analog setting circle and the one is the digital setting circle. Another method used by the amateur astronomers for their observation is GOTO telescope. It become more popular since 1980s, since technology has improved and prices have been reduced. With these computer-driven telescopes, the user typically enters the name of the item of interest and the mechanics of the telescope point the telescope towards that item automatically. It is the faster method for locating objects, since just we need to enter the name of the object. Either we enter the name of the object or the coordinates, right ascension and declination of the object in the computer, and the telescope will automatically point towards that particular object. So it is the faster method. It is calibrated using alignment stars to provide accurate tracking and positioning. Built-in GPS facility enables the calibration. So there is another method, the GOTO telescope. Another method is the remote control telescope. With the development of the first internet in the last part of the 20th century, along with advances in the computer controlled telescope mounts and CCD cameras, remote telescope astronomy is now a viable means for amateur astronomers. This enables everyone to control a telescope a large distance away in a dark location. An example of a digital remote telescope operation for public use is via the internet is the Barakat Observatory in Israel, and the telescope farms in New Mexico, Australia, and Atacama in Chile, etc. are some of the remote control telescopes where the observer can observe the specified object or the object of interest by using this remote control telescope. And another method, usually the amateur astronomers using, is the imaging techniques. Amateur astronomers engage in many imaging techniques including film, DSLR, that is digital single lens reflex cameras, LRGB, the luminous red, green, blue and CCD, that is charge coupled devices astrophotography. That means in the imaging techniques, the amateur astronomers can use the films or the advancement of the cameras like DSLR, the CCD cameras, etc. made this astrophotography more user friendly. That's all about the different imaging or techniques used in amateur astronomy. So let's recall once again the different techniques used in amateur astronomy are the star hopping, the setting circles, go to telescope, remote control telescope, and imaging techniques. Okay, thank you.